My name is Mike. When I was 11, me and my parents changed our home address and we moved near the center of the city. But unfortunately, my school was near my old neighborhood, and I was responsible for getting to and from school. I used to walk to school, but because of the distance, my parents decided I could take the bus in the morning for myself. They also bought me a smartphone that I kept with me while I was going to school. One Monday morning, when I was on the bus, a woman sat next to me. She was beautiful. She had blonde hair and piercing green eyes. She turned to me and asked, "Where are your parents, darling?" I answered and told her that I was traveling alone to school. She smiled and touched my hair and said, "Could you show me where it is?" I said, "Yeah, sure." Then she came with me, and after I went inside, she left. The next day, I saw her again, and she sat next to me and asked, "What if you skip school today and we go to the bowling alley instead? They have some really cool arcade games and great food." It sounded like a good idea to me, so I happily accepted. She then said, "Our stop is near the park 2 stops after your school. A friend of mine will take us to the bowling alley from there." After we got off the bus, we started walking towards her friend's car. Then suddenly my mom calls me. "Hey Mike, I stopped by your school to bring your gym clothes, but you weren't there. Where are you?" I explained everything to my mom. I figured it was just some harmless fun. But my mom suddenly changed her tone and yelled, "Run! Those people want to kidnap you!" I stopped walking, and then the woman said, "What's the matter?" I said, "I have to go to school. My mom busted me." She smiled and said nicely to me, "Oh, darling, let's get in the car. It will be much faster than having to wait for the bus to go back." I said, "No, thank you. My mom is pretty upset that I skipped school, and I don't want to make her madder." The woman's pleasant face quickly changed, and she looked very angry. She then suddenly grabbed my left arm and started forcing me towards the car. There was no one around the park at that time of day, as it was a very cold and dark morning. I was screaming, "Help!" as hard as I could. Then she put her other hand over my mouth. The man in the car came and helped her shove me in the back seat of the car. The car sped off, and then I was taken to a mansion near a forest. I was crying for help as they were taking me to the mansion. Suddenly, a police helicopter saw us, and as soon as they heard, "Police, stop the car!" they jumped out of the car and started running. I was lucky because when they kidnapped me, there was a nearby car that saw everything. I was also lucky that my mom called the police as soon as she did, because they may not have arrived in time if she hadn't. The people were eventually found, and the man was a registered sex offender. He did 23 years in jail for sexually assaulting a 13-year-old minor, and the woman did 11 years in prison for being his accomplice. Never let children go out alone, as this world is full of wolves dressed in sheep's clothing.
So in the video, from what I understand is, there was a boy in the morning. He was living in the city. So he was waiting for the bus in the bus stop, and while he was waiting, he was explaining his story. So he said that he was allowed by his parents to go to school alone. He was permitted to. So every day he does that. So, but one morning, there was a woman that has blonde hair, green eyes, that talked to him and said, or asked that where was his parents. And he answered, "I was alone and going to school alone." So the woman took him to his school. But in the second day or second morning that they met, the woman asked if they can go to a bowling alley. And as a boy, he was young and he didn't really know what was the woman really intending to do. So he didn't know he was about to be kidnapped. So the boy agreed to it. He wanted to go to have fun. So he decided to skip school for the day and bring some gym clothes. So as the mother suspected something, the mother called her son and asked why is he going to bring his gym clothes as he was going to his school. So the boy answered he was about to go to a bowling alley to have fun. But the mother realized what was going to happen. Those people wanted to kidnap that boy. So as soon he realizes he was about to be kidnapped, he made an excuse to the blonde lady. He wanted to go, that his mother was calling him to get home. But as soon the blonde lady was realized that the boy realized he was about to be kidnapped, the blonde lady pulled him into the car, and the associate or the partner of the kidnapper pushed him into the car and closed the door. And as soon as the boy is in the car, they drive fast as they can in a near mansion. But luckily, the mother and some people that was around in the parking lot saw what happened. So they called the police, and then luckily, and then the kidnapper was a sexual offender, sexual assault. So he was kept in prison for 23 years, and the woman in blonde and green eyes was kept in prison for 11 years as he was a partner of the main associate. So, for my experience, in my personal experience, I had an experience like that too, but it wasn't as bad as this. So when I was going to a mall and I was dropped off in my old school RIS, I was about to go to our office, and then there was a black car that was a black SUV that was following me, and I noticed it. So I had to walk fast to the nearby office, and because I was waiting for my service or my parents to fetch me to get home. But the black SUV saw me, I was alone. Yep, and then the driver approached me and he asked, "Do I want a friend?" Of course, but as I know what was he's doing, so I declined his offer. Of course, I know because he was about to do that. Luckily, my tito or uncle, or one of my close tito there was there, and then luckily I was there. He stepped there, and then so the guy had to run and get inside his car and drive as fast as possible. So I didn't really go in the car, so because I knew what he was going to do. So that was my personal experience in a near kidnapping situation. That's all.